Jaya Kunjali Gopi Janavara Jaya Girivare Jaya Jaya Gopi Janavara Jaya Girivare Yashodanandana Jaya Puja Janandana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Jagadanandana Yamatira Vachari Jaya Kanjadihari Yamatira Vachari Jaya Kanjadihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Jaya Sadhukai 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 Jaya Sadhukai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Sadhukai. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Parajagachaya Sai Satyavasti Vendex AC Evan Muslim Shwatavaniki Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa Parajagachaya Sai Satyavasti Vendex Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada We're reading from. Would you like to use the book to read the verse?
That'd be nice, especially the big one.
Yeah, if it was a book, I can't read. I can't read it. Okay, we're reading the seventh canto, chapter 8. Interesting.
Chapter 843.
Yeah, chapter 843. Man, I prepared for the wrong verse. That's right, actually, this one will be nice too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. I totally prepared for the next chapter's 43 verse. That's fine. So this is why I was playing with the Sanskrit here. Let's do that 1 second. Shri Shivacha Vamana Salastava Paramataya Atmatejo Vedam Adi Purushatma Vitum Shasharvatam Tavi Tavi Tam Amyudhaya Sharanam Hala Raksha Purusha Puran Anu Stata Tamnastapalparamutaya Atejam Yinginda Adi Purushanam Vikazam Sash Sharkatan Sharkatan Tadvipra Tadvipratam Manayam Shayam Shayam Halam Rashman Gita Vakushanam for Stefan Vamaskapakarama Ataya Avatejam Ye Damani Purushatma Gatam Sashanam Gata Tadviparam Upatam Anudai Sharanyam Pala Raksha Gritam Vakusha Purnam Vamastahari.
Tamnastapa Paramamacharya Atmatejo. Renam Adi Pusu Tamagatim Sasarta. Tavipala Ruktam Amudaya Salam Pala Rakshana Dama Pusha Punar Vam Samvita Vam Samsa. It's called winging it.
Anybody on Zoom like to chant that verse? Nobody on Zoom wants to chant?
Hare Krishna. I want to say something about this verse. I actually can't hear the chanting from the temple room, so I don't know what meter is being used, but I'll say that the particular meter of this verse is the same as what is used for Brahma Samhita. The meter is called Sardula Vikridita. which in Sanskrit means that the playful gait of a tiger. And it fits this verse very nicely. So it would go like this. Shri Rishaya Uchu Tvam Nastapa Paramam Ata Yat excuse me Tvam Nastapa Paramam Ata Yat Atma Tejo Yenedam Adi Purushatma Gatam Sasarkta Dad Vipraluptam Amunadyas Sharanyapala Raksha Grihita Vapusa Punar Anvamamstaha. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Raghu. That's probably why I'm gonna say that I didn't know the meter, and that's why it sounded good.
Ririshaya Uchuhu Domnastapa Paramataya Atmatejo Yene Damadi Purushatma Gatang Sasarta Tadvipraluptamam Nadya Sharanyapala Raksha Grihita Vapusha Punar Anvamangstaha.
Okay. I don't know actually if this thing works, so please tell me if you can't hear me. Okay. Word. Shri Rishabhavacha, the great sages said, Tvava Naha Tapaha austerity, param talmis, Atara instructed, yet which Atmateja, your spiritual power, Yena, by which even this material world, the illusion of the Supreme Personality of God, Atmagatam, Atmagatam, merged within yourself. Sharikata, you created. Tat, about sense of austerity and penance. V, by that demon. Anya, na, Sharing Pava, the supreme maintainer of those who needed to be sheltered. Raksha Grita Bapushan, by your body which you accepted to give protection. Punaha, again. Anam, Mam, Stam. You have it. Translation of purport by Shri Bhagavatam. Translation. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers this way. O Lord, O supreme maintainer of those who sheltered by your lotus feet. O original personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us before, is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world, which lies dormant within you. Personal austerity was almost stopped by the activities of the demon, but now by yourself appearing in the form of the demon, which is meant just to give us protection. And by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. The living entities wandering within the jurisdiction of the 8,400,000 species of life took the opportunity for self-realization in the human form, and gradually in such other elevated forms as those of the demigods, Kinaras, and Chariots, as will be described below. In the higher statuses of life, beginning from human life, the main duty is tapasya, or austerity. As Rishabdev advised his sons, Tapo Divyam Putrakaye Sattvam Sutayat, to rectify our material existence. Austerity and tapasya is absolutely necessary. However, when people in Jinn come under the control of a demon or demoniac ruling power, they forget this process of tapasya and gradually also become demoniac. All the saintly persons who were generally engaged in austerity felt relieved when Hiranyakashipu was killed by the Lord in the form of Nrsimhadev. They realized that the original instruction concerning human life that is meant for tapasya, for self-realization, was reaffirmed by the Lord when he killed Hiranyakashipu. Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Sthapitam Yena Tale Swayamirabhagradhanaya Tadanti Swadapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiva Sangha Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Panchakapachuriyascha Kripasindhavimata Patitana Translation again. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this room. O Lord, O supreme maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O original personality of God, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us is the spiritual power. Is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you have created the material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now, by your seed, appearing in the form of Nrsimhadev, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again improved this process of austerity. This verse and purport are talking about austerity, tapasya, and how when Hiranyakashipu was reigning and ruling over the worlds, this process of austerity and tapasya directed towards Krishna was almost completely annihilated and non-existent. But then when the Lord came in this form of Nrsimhadev, to kill the demon, protect the devotee, he also simultaneously reaffirmed or reestablished the act of tapasya for self-realization for his devotees. And Srila Prabhupada is saying here, purport that it was a great relief for those saintly persons when Hiranyakashipu was finally killed, because that means that they could openly worship the form of the Lord again. And I thought today, although this verse is very much about tapasya and austerities, we could speak a little bit about pride and humility, and then also tie in tapasya at the end. Because as we know, in this pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev and Hiranyakashipu was very proud, and Prahlad Maharaj was very humble. And humility invites respect, and pride invites humiliation, as we see here in this pastime, where Nrsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu. He's like such a proud, arrogant, demoniac person, and he's killed in such a way that's like humiliating, I imagine, for such a great, like, quote unquote, great person. to be humiliated in such a way like this feels. But I mean, it's a very great death for such a great demon. But for him, it's quite humiliating because he thought he was invincible. And I was thinking of different like stories of people we hear in this world that like get humiliated and because they have some sort of fame, it's like broadcasted everywhere. And there's so many stories of like celebrities that they do like one thing wrong and it's like they're humiliated publicly through social media and different aspects like that. Like people who do like professional fighting. I don't really watch these sorts of things, but I was listening to a lecture and this devotee was saying, it's like, yeah, like UFC fighters, they're humiliated all the time. Like let alone what they have to like wear when they go out there, but then just like, yeah, they think they're so strong, they just get knocked down so easily. And then, or political leaders, there's so much today where it's like you can read something that's happening in politics and feel like, oh man, I feel so like cringy for that person. They're humiliating themselves so openly, but they're too proud to even see what they're doing. And then I was thinking, oh, like, I don't even have to look so far, like so far out into the scope of the material world to find like humiliating stories. Because even if we just reflect on our own lives, there's so much that we've done that's like quite humiliating and what makes us appear quite foolish. And I was trying to think of some stories, um, some things I've done that have been like, oh, it's really foolish, foolish thing to do. And uh, I remember I often do these really like stupid things, and every time I do them, I think I should write a book called Bad Decisions with Letter on the Ground. Like things that I'm like, this is a really bad idea, but I'm gonna do it anyways. But the good thing is that because we're in Krishna consciousness, that even if we uh, do like really foolish things very publicly, or even if we go through some pain or some like financial desperate situation, or we have some heartbreak, or um, we have some really serious illness, something that puts us in like a condition like that I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not who I want to be, um, or wow, that was a really silly thing for me to do. We have the opportunity of actually growing from those decisions and going deeper into our bhakti instead of becoming bitter, because it's very common that uh, yeah, that this bitterness comes um, like I have a friend, not a friend actually anymore, but when I was graduating high school, I had one friend of mine at the time, and we were very bad influences for each other. Um, and then when I left and I moved to New Zealand and I decided to stay, I told her, because we were supposed to be like college roommates, I told her I'm not coming back. And that was probably about maybe 10 years ago or more, maybe 12 years. Um, and she still hates me for it. And I was like, wow, our lives have gone in such different directions, and there could have been so much growth from that. But instead, people can hold on to like small things and become very vigilant towards people. And yeah, it's not doesn't help us in our Krishna consciousness. So, anyways, one thing I was thinking about when humiliating story, just because it's always good to share, it repurifies the heart, is obviously I like to do a lot of cooking. And one time I was cooking for my spiritual master, his Holiness Jagannath Swami, and I was uh, sometimes I follow recipes when I cook, and sometimes I just speculate things like anything. But this time I was following a recipe, and I was kind of like guessing a little bit, and I was thinking, this soup is going to be really good. He's really going to like this soup. And I was putting these spices in. It's like, wow, the soup is so aromatic. Like he's going to love this soup. This soup is going to be the best soup that he's ever had. And I was quite proud when I was saying it. And I thought it was gonna like so much that I even filled up 2 flasks full of the soup because I was like, he's gonna love this soup. So then the prasad went out, and then it came back, and I was like, oh, the flasks are so cool. Like, why do you like this soup? This is clearly like the best soup ever. And then I sat down later after I cleaned the kitchen and everything and like, had the remnants and was trying the meal. I tried the soup and I was like, oh my god, this is disgusting. It tastes like dishwater. And I was like, oh my god, this soup is awful. I didn't understand what went wrong. Like I followed the recipe and I even added extra spices to make it more filling. And then later when I was realizing it's just because I was so proud. And he probably just tasted my consciousness and was like, ew, gross. I don't want this. I was like, I was like, oh man, that's really like humiliating. Like, just knowing that I'm like, that's my spiritual master's meal. But I also was just so proud the entire time I was cooking that I went like devil to make the meal nice. Anyways, I was trying to think of more relevant stories. I'm trying to think of anything off the top of my head. But yeah, anyways, the point being is that there's unlimited stories of things you've done that are like, that's really embarrassing and humiliating, or even more like certain times you've been in like a real hardship or you've been really sick. Um, and it's like quite humiliating. Like even currently, I have an ear infection in my right ear. I've had since January, and I can't hear anything out of it. And it's really awkward. And like makes me like when I'm eating prasad and there's people and they're talking to me and I'm eating and I can't hear what they're saying. I'm like wow, my condition in this life is like what if I was to lose my hearing completely? That would be such a common condition of life. Like you can't hear what people are saying. It's like very helpful. Like, oh, I wish like my body's so decrepit that I can't even hear what this person's talking to me about. So yeah, these points of humility and pride. And this pride and this arrogance is what can keep us in this material world. Because someone who's very proud doesn't think that they need any help or and they think like I can do this, I got it all under control. I don't need any help from anybody, especially not any help from God. Like I am basically I don't need anything. Like there's that famous verse of Bhagavad Gita off the top of my head. But it's like I'm legit I am how does it go? You know what I'm talking about? It's like I'm the like I can do everything and everything comes to me by my own power and will. I am the king of the universe. I will continue to be powerful. It's I guess attached. Anyways, it's a really nice verse that is I find it's a very relatable. Uh,
So what about all Baba efforts? I will.
yeah.
And
I don't know what the number is. By all my efforts.
strong and this arrogant personified.
Yeah, it's like, anyways, I can't find the name, but yeah, it's a really good verse too. And then I looked up arrogant because I was thinking this is, just the word itself is like carries a lot of unpleasantness with it. So arrogant is an insulting attitude of superiority, a full-blown sense of importance. And you think, wow, it's like that's totally what Hiranyakashipu feels like. And we all have our little mini Hiranyakashipus inside of us. They want to reign over everything and control and dominate. And yeah, this is like pride and arrogance, an insulting attitude of superiority and an overblown sense of importance. This pride is like, I can do it all myself. So yeah, these qualities they can walk us to the material world because we want to enjoy, control, be the controllers of different aspects. And then if we get too proud, thinking I can do it myself, I don't need anyone's help, then yeah, it's easy to get the material energy. It's easy to like feed off of that and feel like, yeah, man, well, look, all these things are happening. I'm making money. I'm enjoying. And it's just stuff like that. And then when the hardships do come, because they will, if that's how the material energy works, then we can very easily become very bitter. Yeah. And we want to get better and not get bitter. And have and start blaming people. Like if you know everything's going so well and something happens, it's easy to blame. Like my friends from high school, you know, because her plans got ruined for us to live together. She blamed me for it completely. So, yeah, even though so many years had gone by, it's still like holding on to this grudge and like this person ruined my chances of enjoyment. Um, but these calamities, they're actually good because they help us remember that this world isn't a place for us to be. It's not a place of enjoyment. It's not a place of misery. It's not a place of sukkah. It's a place of hunger. So we don't want to stay around here for too long. We want to go back to the spiritual world. Um, I was listening to a Surrealist class a while ago by Ms. Gracie Bleeker's right, and he was talking something about this topic, and he made this really nice point. He's like, yeah, sometimes when we're really down, um, and you feel like everything's just falling apart, and you're about to have a breakdown, he's like, instead, just have a breakthrough, just push through and see see how this is actually all um, Krishna's arrangement. And these calamities you're experiencing, they're actually helping you to realize that this material world is not a place for you to be. The actually real world is a spiritual. Um, and then, of course, according to our surrender, Krishna will remove all of our false securities, and this can come in the form of like calamities that happen in our life. And our securities can be like our wealth, or if someone's very beautiful, they might get very sick and become very ill and lose their luster. Or someone who's very wealthy might go through a financial hardship, or even somebody who's like very expert at like entertaining people and being very sociable, might have something happen to them. But this is actually Krishna removing our securities so that we have something that we like think that this is my foundation. Like, okay, Krishna, yeah, I have faith in Krishna, but I also have my really strong material foundation that I built. So if this Krishna thing doesn't work, then I still can fall back on my material foundation. But due to our level of sincerity, Krishna removes our foundation so that we don't have that material foundation. And then eventually, yeah, this material foundation is maybe very strong anyways. My real foundation is my Krishna consciousness, my service to Krishna. Um, and there's a nice chapter 4, text 11, Tamam, Padyan Free, Hans Tyler Vijan Mam, Vartan Mam, Vartamanu Vartante, Anusha, Partam Sarvasha. All surrender unto me, and I everyone follows my path in all respects and son of good time. So yeah, it's a really famous verse. Um, where Krishna's saying like those who surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So due to our whatever the level of our sincerity is, then Krishna reciprocate with us in according way. And it's good to become consciously aware of this here or in every day. And of course, the more we read Srila Prabhupada's books, then the more we do hear it. Um, and I was thinking, like, it's good to get reminded every day that this material world isn't a place we want to stay. And it's sometimes easy to forget that, when everything's going good, you're on the good slope, maybe you're making lots of money, or you're in a good position, or you've got a nice, everything's going nice in your relationship for the time being, or yeah, you're in like a really, everything's just good. It's summertime, so it's nice and warm outside. It's easy to remember that this world is here, like full of suffering when it's freezing cold outside. Heater's broken and it's cold and wet. You love hot water, then it's really easy. But sometimes when everything is going good, it's hard. It's harder to remember. But I was thinking, I do a lot of care with like older people, like elderly people, and it's good because it's kind of a hard job for me because I have a lot of energy. Like I like moving around, so I like things like lots all the time. So sitting down for a long period of time is really hard. But I was think about it often, like, oh, just imagine what it's like when you get into your 80s or your 90s. It's actually so hard. Like you lose your ability to do everything. And you know, just imagine what will happen if you have a stroke. If you get old, you have a stroke and you lose complete ability in one side of your body, or both, or you get cancer. You have to go through chemo treatment and you become so frail and thin, and there's so much like toxic medicine in your body. Um, or you have Alzheimer's disease and you just start to forget those around you. Even sometimes you might even feel illusion of consciousness if you're unfortunate in a way. Or you have like fibromyalgia and your whole body becomes just like frozen and stiff in one place. You know, then you can sit about your living room, you can watch the devotees chant, or maybe you won't even be able to get to the temple room because your body's too stiff to be put in a chair. Or like yeah, like there's one person who comes to the physical therapy clinic, and I go with one of the women I take care of, and he had a full knee replacement surgery. And I just think when I think about that, oh my God, that sounds so uncomfortable. Like a full knee. It's just like, yeah, yeah, or arthritis, like these things that are happening to people, and it's like really suffering. It's a really suffering condition. Um, and sometimes it can make, you know, whatever suffering we're going through seem quite insignificant. It's like, you know, I'm not there yet. But yeah, it's very tricky. And even for someone who's practiced devotional service their entire life, it can be very hard to get to that age, especially if you have some chronic disease or something like that. So you can remember that, okay, I need to chant 16 rounds. Or when was the last time I read Srimad books? Yeah, we're offering your food. Like these things can become, just the very basics can become very tricky and challenging. So yeah, we prepare ourselves for that. And this isn't something we want to like have to go through again. Um, like that's one example. The elder old age, you know, it's very real and painful experience. And then also like the youth, like that's your grandmother and I were in State College the other day, and there we pulled up, and there was there's a lot of frat houses in State College. It's like a university town. And there was this huge frat party going on, like right outside this guy's house, this huge frat house. And you know, there was like a little hill, and it went down to like the main street. They had like, you know, beer pong, and they had a pool. And it was just like everybody was like in like swimsuits and drinking. And Chris and I were looking at it and was like, wow, so it's like you go to the zoo and you're like looking at the monkeys. It's like, wow, this is so fascinating. Like, that's so interesting that they're doing that. I was like, I mean, I used to do that like way back in the day when I was a teenager, but I was like, what is the enjoyment there? You know, it actually just looks so embarrassing. Um, and like, that's just like, yeah, I don't want to take work again to like go through that whole experience. And yeah, as we were walking away, and it's like, it's such a nice house. You know, it could be used for such like nice purposes. It could be a museum, it could be a library, but instead it's just like this place where it's degrading stuff. It's not like, so yeah, it's the same. It's like, you know, young people age, but then also the youth, the youthful side of it, like ones people that are probably in their mid-20s. You know, youth is very beautiful, but uh, yeah, it's just like, what a waste of being involved. Um, so yeah, this illusionary energies are very strong to cross over, as we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, um, in the chapter 7, that it's like it's a very hard struggle to cross over this illusionary energy. And we know that the vitality river that separates us from the spiritual is like very big river to cross over too. And the illusionary doesn't make it easy for us to do it. But if we take shelter of Krishna, then we know, as we hear in the Bhagavatam, then this whole river will actually just become so small, like the water in the springs. And here you have so many cows on the farm, so you know, the cow walks and see little puddles, especially now since it's springtime, it's probably raining a lot. It's actually very insignificant. You probably don't even notice it. Um, so yeah, we have to constantly remind ourselves every day that this material world is constant suffering. And then be grateful for the times when Krishna reveals that to us. Like, yeah, in case you forgot, this world's a place of suffering, let me remind you. Um, if you take away something that you like, let me give you some sickness or something that reminds you that this place is not here for your enjoyment. In these moments, we should be grateful for it, although sometimes, depending on our advancement, it may take a bit of time for that gratefulness to come. Um, so that we can take shelter of Krishna. Because that's the only thing worth taking shelter of in this material world. Because it's only going to give us full satisfaction. Yes. So I think I'll stop there for about 15 minutes until the project opens. Do you have any corrections or any comments you can have?
Thank you for the nice class. Just like, like just so many domino windows, which reminded me of humility, where Lord Jesus says that the meek and the humble, they're going to inherit I say the whole enchilada. But Shikshastakuni prayer, that reveals everything. One time, I was with Radhanath Maharaj at a rainbow gathering.
Do you mind playing this microphone so that the people on Zoom can hear you?
Oh, sure.
Otherwise, request out all the time.
Harbo, his audio is actually clearer than yours without the mic. There's feedback of the loudspeaker with the mic. And so if the volume of the loudspeaker could be reduced, then there would be less feedback. But I heard everything Prabhu said. So he can just continue speaking. Yeah.
Speaker works.
Turn this microphone.
So, Radhanath Maharaj, I asked him at a rainbow gathering. I had some questions in my heart. Those are involving, at the time, Kirtananda and New Vrindavan. And Radha Swami was the devotee, was the only one at that time that GBC, ISKCON, but he'd also come once a year to New Vrindavan because he came to the Rainbow Gathering, but he would stay with New Vrindavan. And I was managing a little older Krishna house temple, and I asked him, I had a question, and I asked him, I don't understand your association, how you're associating with Mara. I don't get this. And he said to me that it pretty much has changed my whole direction. He said, when a devotee is having difficulty, it's very important that we as a society of devotees have a place for that person to come to land and be there in a loving way if they want to come back. If they don't want to come back, they want to just keep going, that's okay. But that humility of what he had said was just like, there's so many devotees come and go, as we know. But we have to be, if we're properly situated, we need to be there for them if they ever want to come back. And that humility is so important. It's like, that's what it's all about, isn't it? The Shikshastika is, we have everything here, all the scriptures and prasadam. I always share the same thing with temple life. We have everything here. But if we don't go deep in our humility and deep in our japa, it's just a show. It doesn't. I heard recently. I hear this all the time. There's a devotee I listen to all the time, and he said the reason why we don't make advancement is because we don't take the time to understand in both pastimes with Radharani, her suffering, how intense she's missing in separation, Krishna. He said, if just 5 minutes a day, would you take that moment and just, wow, I can't understand this at all, but wow. And the same mood with Radharani when she comes to Gadadhar, she's just very patient, very silent in the background, always waiting for her Prabhu to come in humility, Mm. Yeah, that's why
Well, thank you very much for a nice class, and especially by giving the examples, and that makes it more interesting. And so I think it was really very good class. Nice. Thank you very much.
Is anybody Zoom that I'd like to share?
Oh, Haribo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, I don't know if anyone can hear me, but
We can hear you.
okay. Yeah, I appreciate this reminder of humility and how I was thinking, there's that verse that when Krishna favors one, then he takes away everything, and how, yeah, just to make us like fully dependent on him. And Urmila said something that was very powerful one day. She said that we do all these things like exercise and like build up our financial assets and all this stuff, and it's good, but it's actually how did she say? I don't want to butcher, but it's somehow like it's a substitute for like the dependence on Krishna. Maybe that can be taken out of context, but I guess the point is there that, yeah, that's like our true shelter. Like we may have to do all these things, but our true shelter is Krishna. So, yeah, I guess those are my two takeaways. Where like better become humble now and depend on the Lord, um, or else he might like take everything away from us, anyways.
And we know with taking away, you get everything. So nothing is actually taken away.
Yeah.
Just the attachment is taken away.
Priya Manjari, you have a question? Priya Manjari, do you have a question? There's one devotee in New Zealand, like a very nice senior devotee, and he had, yeah, he had a really nice situation going, and then he was sharing this one class how his his wife had stopped, like she slowly stopped practicing bhakti, and then she just like left him altogether, and so he lost his like seemingly lost his wife, and then his like one he like lost his motorcycle or something, like his little moped, he lost, and then he was having troubles with his work. And then he had this really, he was like, okay, I've lost so many things, but at least I have my gardens. Like in his garden, his backyard, he had like veggies, he grew flowers from the deities. And then there was a landslide, and it just like totally crushed his lawn right up onto his door. And he's like, everyone was like, oh my God, Christian's taking everything away from him because like, he's just, anyways, he was really nice, very senior lawyer, very surrendered. And it was super hard, especially when his wife stopped practicing. It's hard for everybody, but she was like a really active member of the community. But he just took shelter, showed Prabhupada's books so much, and he just made like so much advancement in that way. It's always really inspiring. Seeing like, wow, okay, this is really hard. Like, imagine one person who loves so much is just like stops practicing Christian consciousness and leaves, and goes off and things out with like one of you guys. Is like that would be, it's one thing if they just like leave you and they go hang out, go meet another devotee, but they leave and they go back into the material world. It's like it's so painful for him. But he just took such shelter with Srila Prabhupada's books. He was like kept reading, kept doing service, and he's like held in and so like closely on his body. And yeah, it's just like still going so strong in his Krishna consciousness. So yeah, it's always really inspiring. I thought would have been a really hard situation. Pushed through. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? I guess we can stop here.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
I apologize. I'm having a really hard time hearing, so I'm not sure what has been said, but I think I've gotten the gist. You gave a very nice class about, I think the central theme is taking shelter of Krishna, because we can take shelter of all kinds of other things. Sense gratification becomes a shelter for us. Sense gratification can be gross or subtle. Sometimes one may take shelter of pride, but Krishna is very kind. He helps us to advance by breaking that pride. He wants that we take full shelter of him, not necessarily because he has any particular need for us to take shelter of him, but it's in our interest, because we have really only two options. As Jivatmas, we can take shelter of Krishna and we can be ecstatic, or we can take shelter of the material nature and our senses and be miserable. So pride is one of the obstacles to advancement in devotional service. And if we are somehow or other unsuccessful in our efforts to cultivate humility, Krishna will sometimes help us. He'll engineer some sort of a situation to smash our pride, so that we are encouraged to take shelter of him alone and not shelter of our senses or our mind or our false ego. Pride is all about false ego. It's an illusory conception of who and what I am. We want to believe that I'm this or that. We want others to think this or that about us. But we are really just tiny, insignificant jivatmas, part and parcel of Krishna, and our eternal position is one of servitorship. That's all. Any other conception that we have is false. So Krishna helps us to understand who and what we really are. Pride. Pride is a type of sense gratification. It's subtle sense gratification. And like any sense gratification, we can take shelter of that to the exclusion of Krishna consciousness. But our objective, if we're intelligent, our objective is to take shelter of Krishna. We want to associate with Krishna in devotional service. We don't want to serve the material nature because the material nature is a very cruel mistress. She kicks and punishes. When we take shelter of the material nature, it always means suffering. I don't know about you. I can't speak for everyone. Personally, I don't care for suffering. I'm pretty tired of it. My inclination is try to take shelter of Krishna somehow or other, hope against hope, so that I don't have to suffer and I can be happy. I'd like that for myself. Thank you for a nice class. Hare Krishna.
Ishwara Damodar ki.